The Evil Dead franchise just keeps on giving, and we're here for it. Saber Interactive has just released Evil Dead, the game, on Windows, PlayStation, and Xbox, and there is plenty of co-op fun to be had with Ash, Kelly, Pablo, and the Deadites. So, sit back as we reveal everything you need to know about Evil Dead, the game. The premise is simple. The core gameplay consists of a match that's divided into 3 distinct parts, or levels, that the players navigate and in which they complete certain objectives. Now, the players can select between one of 4 survivors, or they can play as a demon. Now, the demon is interesting, so I guess we'll just leave that for later. The game takes inspiration from Dead by Daylight, which has nearly identical core mechanics, but in Evil Dead, the demon isn't some unkillable antagonist that you have to run and hide from. It's more of a puppeteer or a dungeon master that flies around the map collecting orbs and setting traps for the survivors. The demon's job is more or less to stop the survivors from completing their objectives. But we're getting ahead of ourselves here, so let's dive into the survivors' objectives and the 3 levels of a match. First up, the map. It's huge! From what we've seen so far, the world of the game has so many areas to explore, a wide variety, and the 4 survivors spawn at random points in every match. And the map is so large, in fact, that the game has transportation for you to travel to different areas that are too far to walk or run to. And you really can't run to the location because the Deadites will be spawning and running to you in waves. The game's narrative director, Craig Sherman, revealed that the players will recognize quite a few of the locations in the map. The areas are inspired by the Evil Dead franchise and feature Ash's home from Ash vs. Evil Dead, the Nobi cabin from the 1981 original. The map also features an airplane crash site called Flight 666 and creepy cemeteries, and an even creepier doll factory. One thing to note, however, is that the game doesn't feature multiple maps that players can choose from in the main menu. It's just one big ol' map with all these locations built in, and players just spawn at a random point on it. Next, selecting survivor classes. So, you've got a huge playground to play in. What do you do as a survivor? Well, the game allows you to select between 4 classes: Leader, Hunter, Warrior, and Support. And you have different characters available in each class, with various versions of Ash being present in all 4. The gameplay is going to feel different depending on which class you choose, since each character comes with their own unique set of skill trees that you can upgrade as you go along. The Leader class focuses on keeping their teammates alive through the match and coordinating strategies and attacks to take down the demon's forces. They have the ability to grant their allies something called buffs, which are perks like reduced damage, reduced fear, and increased damage dealt by their team. Next are the Warriors, who get all up close and personal with their attacks and deal high damage to the Deadites. They prefer melee weapons like swords and chainsaws to dismember their enemies, and they have special abilities that activate during close quarter combat. This class is perfect for those who just want to witness as much bloodshed as possible. On the more cautious side are the Hunters, who prefer long-range combat. They're kind of like the scouts in Left 4 Dead that have increased speed and stamina, and they carry more ammunition to shoot the Deadites dead from further away. We recommend Ash Williams if you're gonna go for the Hunter class, since his exorcist ability comes in handy, and yeah, we'll tell you why later. Finally, you've got the Support class, which is pretty self-explanatory. They stay in the rear, helping the rest of their allies do what they do best. The Support survivors can carry helpful items that can help restore an ally's health and give them a protective shield, which also reduce fear whenever necessary, starting a match. So, you've selected Ash Williams from the Hunter class, and now you're dropped at a random location on a large map. What next? Well, for starters, the map has various points of interest to go to, and those areas contain loot. So the players start by going to these locations and collecting melee weapons, as well as ranged ones, and also really useful items such as matchsticks that can be used to light campfires, or Pink F. Pink F is a resource in the core mechanics of the game. It basically helps you upgrade your skills so that you can fight tougher hordes of Deadites. And trust us, things get tough as you go along. Now, as we mentioned before, the match is divided into 3 levels, or rather 3 objectives that you have to complete while battling increasingly tougher enemies. The first objective is relatively simple. Find 3 pieces of a map. While you're looting and collecting items, you're also going to need to find 3 fragments of a map that are scattered throughout the game world. You might even need to hop into a car and drive to these places, because the game map is really that huge, and the game won't just drop the pieces next to you. You'll also notice that the first few waves of the Deadites will start appearing wherever you go to try and stop you from locating these map fragments. They're not that hard to deal with at this point, but they're not that easy either, so you're gonna need to deal with them. Now, once you've got all 3 pieces of the map, you get to the second level of the match, the Necronomicon pages and Kandarian Dagger. The completed map is gonna give you the locations of Evil Dead's driving force, the Necronomicon pages, as well as the location of the Kandarian Dagger. Things get a bit tricky here, since they're gonna be spread out across vast distances, and because the Deadites are gonna be a lot tougher from now on. What's more difficult is the fact that you're basically gonna be doing a ritual to collect these items. So there's a timer that counts, and you're in a circle with your allies, defending yourself against waves of Deadites. The timer counts to 0, and then you can finally collect your items. So you've got your dagger, and you've got all the pages of the Necronomicon. Now here's where the fun begins. Protect the Necronomicon. Like Battle Royale games, the the playable map area starts shrinking. But in this game, it's due to a storm, and you need to book it to the location the storm is pushing you towards, which is where you'll find the Dark Ones. You'll need to use the Kandarian dagger to banish the Dark Ones, who are also controlling their armies of Deadites and are sending wave after wave of increasingly powerful enemies after you and your teammates. Now, once you banish the Dark Ones, the Necronomicon appears, and it's your job to stop it from being destroyed by the Deadites. Things get crazy here, since they're at their most powerful, and they are going to throw everything they have against you. This is the last chance that the demon has to get you. But you're Ash Williams with a chainsaw, so you obviously protect the Necronomicon and slice the Deadites in half, and win the match. But this was from the perspectives of the survivors. The Demon Player. This game is an asymmetrical survival horror game, meaning that it's 1 versus 4, and each person has their own abilities and perks to gain advantage in a situation. If you're not playing as one of the 4 survivors, you get to play as a demon. The demon is the mastermind of the game. At the beginning of every match, they get to fly around the map and locate all 4 survivors. They collect orbs that help them carry out their nefarious plans, and they create a strategy to try and prevent the survivors from protecting the Necronomicon. The demon player can summon Deadites and set traps across the map, including scare traps that trigger when a survivor walks past them. In fact, they can place scare traps in loot boxes so that when a survivor opens them, they get a jump scare that increases their fear meter. All of this requires resources, however, so collect as many orbs as you can so you can set more traps and summon stronger Deadites. The fear mechanic. If you manage to increase the survivor's fear meter to full capacity, you get to have a lot more fun as a demon. You can then possess a survivor for a certain period of time and attack their teammates. Or you can simply possess a support character who heals their teammates and just hide them somewhere. Engaging directly with a survivor is going to level up your demon. So instead of hiding in the shadows and staying away from the action, we recommend going straight into the fights. This is why you'd want to select Hunter Ash because of the Exorcist ability. You can use the ability to exorcise the demon out of your teammates, unless, you're the one who's possessed. Just tell your team to run. This is going to be a lot more fun when you're playing with friends in this co-op mode, but it actually still has a single-player mode that pits you against an AI demon, but it also gives you 3 AI survivor bots to play with. The game's $39.99 and available on Epic Games, so if you want to join us in a round of Evil Dead action, get your copy now. And that's a wrap for this video. Thanks so much for watching. What did we miss out on? And who's your favorite character in the game? Tell us in the comments. As always, hit like if you'd liked our video, and hit subscribe so you never miss out on our future content. We'll see you in the next one.